All right, all right. So we shall now be starting our own meeting as everyone will be joining us. So yeah, to start with, I would like to let you guys know that we hope to have this meeting so engageful. We learn, but also we share ideas. So me talking to you, I'll be acting as your moderator. I'm Gaston Dajimana, and I'm part of Global Advisory Board member. And yeah, I welcome you to today's beautiful session, which is about personal branding. I hope everyone has, different expectations from here, and of course, we would love it to have everyone's expectations met. So to make this so engageful, feel free to, to introduce yourselves in the chat. You can see the chat. Please let us know where you are joining from, just the name, where you are joining from, and, small statement about the expectation from this meeting, please. Yes, please. Let's go ahead. I can see Ellie. Please share in the chat box. I can see Eddie, Mori Grace, you're welcome. Yeah. Welcome, Mori Grace from Uganda. Eddie, you forgot to mention.
Okay.
Yeah, Paul from Uganda, you're welcome. I can see Uganda is very well presented. Wow, that's nice. Yeah, Dr. Felix from Uganda. Wow, Uganda is dominating now. Eddie from Rwanda. Wow, that's nice. Yeah, he expect to learn more about unlocking, his potential. Wow, that's nice. All right, so keep sharing. For those who are joining now, we are sharing the names and where you're joining from, and possibly what do you expect to learn from this webinar. But then, from Uganda too, he expect to overall benefit from personal branding. All right, Uganda still. Okay, so yeah, so as we are waiting for everyone to be joining in, again, I'm Gaston and Ajmana from Global Advisory Board member. I'm part of webinar subcommittee. So yeah, it's really my pleasure to have you all joining the today's session. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our webinar, but also our today's speaker. So can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right.
What
Good.
causal hydration?
All right. Perfect. All right. So yeah, in just a summary way, as we communicated before, our session will be about personal branding. So I hope you guys to gain more of building how to build your magnetic personal brand and how you are going to show or showcase your expertise. So also we will learn how you can use your storytelling to turn your skills to powerful narratives. Also, how you can leverage your LinkedIn according to expertise, so that to be visible to your employers, everyone who you would love to see your expertise. Also, we'll be learning more how to grow a strong network. So we'll be learning from all of that with the support of our esteemed speaker today, Dr. Michael Ekoha. So Dr. Michael Ekoha is a medical doctor, as you can see, and I would love to share one like a person story and what he like in summary, what is exactly he's doing, who is him. He's a final year medical student with a strong background in public health, um, medical outreaches, and other health system researches. That's one of his areas of interest, and he holds leadership roles across multiple organizations, including serving as the president of the student Christian Medical and Dental Associations. He's also head of research and reviews at Faith Arrive Foundation. Dr. Michael has led community-based health interventions in underserved regions, coordinated research teams, and contributed to national level health education and service delivery initiatives. So he has also received academic distinction in public health, pediatrics, obstetric, and gynecology, and has been also recognized for his contribution to community health and student leadership. So his interests basically lie at the intersection of clinical medicine, public health, strategy, health system improvement. So um, you can learn from his expertise. We expect a lot from him. So I don't know if Dr. Michael is on. Dr. Michael, can you be able to hear? Dr. Mike, can you be able to hear?
Okay, good afternoon. I don't know if you can hear me perfectly.
All right, it's you're very welcome, by the way.
Thank you very much.
So yes, please. It's kinda noisy, but we can, we can be able to hear from you, right?
Okay, is it better presently?
Okay, great. So guys, can you hear from him? Let's type in the box.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Yes, please, they can hear from you now. So you are very welcome, Dr. Mike. Over to you now.
All right, then good afternoon, everyone. So lovely to be here. First off, I have to thank WMI, the Global Advisory Board, for the opportunity to share. I apologize that I had to be a few minutes tardy in joining in. Interested because I just had to leave. I was at school, so I'm just leaving an activity at school and I'm joining in. And I want to thank you and thank everyone for being here presently. just to confirm that I'm being heard clearly, and then we can go on. Okay, I'm not really seeing feedback, but I assume that everyone can hear me clearly. Okay, so today we'll be sharing on personal branding. I tagged it becoming the message you carry. Now there's so much talk on personal branding, and then when I was reached out to share, there was this whole question. So personal branding, what is personal branding? Next slide, please. All right, then. So I'll just be describing what is personal branding, and we'll just go back to the previous slide. So basically, I think that, and I'm going to be remodeling this definition, it is what people say about you when you are not in the room. So the branding is what people say about you when you're not in the room, right? It's how you present yourself to the world. You can have so much skills, you can have a lot of value and passion, but if people do not perceive this as your brand, then is how you present yourself, things that are in it, how regalia. Can I get maybe vocal feedback from anybody that can hear? Just so I'm sure. Gaston, I just wanted to confirm that I'm being heard. Okay, sorry, sorry, Gaston. I wanted to confirm that I'm being heard. I don't know. At some point, I wasn't sure I was getting feedback.
Yeah, I think we can hear you. We can hear you, yeah.
All right then. So on the screen, on the second screen, I don't know if we got the definition or attempt at the definition. So I was on the second slide and I was trying to just give a short anecdote. On the second slide, you'll see a picture of me in military regalia. So fun fact, I'm months away from my final exams, and I didn't realize I had a brand after leaving secondary school. I finished from a military school here in Nigeria, Nigerian military school, and that's a picture of me. And so I said, I didn't realize I had a brand until I think it was my third year. I had to work on essays. And one of the things that was asked was to define or kind of paint a picture of who we were to the people. And so I kind of did like a feedback. I asked questions, what they thought about me. And if you remember, I mentioned earlier that your brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. So it was kind of like an anonymous link. And I began to ask people. So things were mentioned like strong, trustworthy, they could trust me to show up. Some people began asking if I had some military background. Some people said it was the way I dressed. Some people said it was the way I walk. Some people said it was my approach to studying. And so you could already be portraying a picture to people and not realize that you have a brand. Now, remember, this, other than maybe the deliberate things that we do to make a brand, LinkedIn profiles, other than those things, your persona, the way you act, the way you respond, from the people around you, spreading out to the people who don't really know you, that is what is personal branding. So, short summary, what people say about you when you're not in the room. And this isn't just about what you're saying about yourself. This isn't just about what you can do. It is also what you portray, the things that are unsaid, how you look, how you speak, how you address issues that are even unprofessional. So if you're considering personal branding, is all encompassing. It's not just about social media posts, it's not about LinkedIn posts, is an all encompassing persona on what you portray. What is the essence that people get when they are speaking with you? If you were to spend 5 minutes with someone, what will the person say after speaking with you for those 5 minutes? Now, it's just to help us note this. So we know Oprah Winfrey. She started as a news anchor, and then over time she has built a brand that is rooted in authenticity and empowerment. So you hear about Oprah Winfrey, you're thinking about empowerment. You're thinking about being original. She doesn't need to speak to you. It isn't about what she just posts. It's the aura that she gives up. And I'm saying that personal branding is all encompassing. So you can't have bad attitudes, bad manners, and be good at your job and think you have personal branding. It's all encompassing. It's all encompassing. How do you show up? Do you show up for tasks given? What is your feedback even when you can't show up? How do you respond to things when they get heated? Now, I'm going to give another short story, right? And this happened. We do some research here at my school, and there's this very, very talented fellow, very, very good. He has all the right skills, I promise you, probably better than I was, and I was overseeing the team. And then he sends in his application. We begin to get feedback around just the general aura. The
Listen.
response to him, I don't know if I'm still being
Yeah,
heard.
come.
Okay, sorry. So he's very good at his job. His skills are non-arguable, but then everybody's response to his name being called up in a board meeting is that this guy isn't great to work with. He gives off this aura, he just spreads an aura of negativity. So again, I'm saying that personal branding isn't just about your skills, isn't about just the values and passions, it's about how the world perceives you and then what they say when you're not. So I'm going to be going to next slide, please. Next slide, please. So why does personal branding matter? Why is it important to brand? Why are we talking
Straight.
about
Don't bend here.
young professionals? I'm sorry, I'm getting some interruption. I don't know.
All right, yeah. So we guys, sorry to interrupt. We try to mute ourselves unless we are not. We are speaking. So let's have everyone muted so as to not interrupt our speaker. Thank you so much.
Okay, all right then. Thank you so much, Gaston. I'm grateful. And so I was sharing, and I was asking why it matters. So I understand that a lot of us scholars, some of us skill scholars, some of us graduate scholars, there's different phases in building a career, and most of us are in the building phase of our career. We are the place where we are consolidating who we are going to be perceived to be. Think of it as the whole phase. So we know about Nelson Mandela, Roni Lata. We know that he was a great freedom fighter. We know all the things that happened at the end. But the middle period, all the time that he had to spend in jail, that was the building period. And so if you think about him now, you think about standing for truth, you think about standing for what is right, you think about perseverance, you think about the period where all those things were built wasn't when he was president. It was built in the periods when he wasn't even very prominent, right? He wasn't very prominent at that time. It matters because this phase is the phase of building a reputation. The image I put here, your reputation is always more important than your resume. So you can have a whole stacked up skill set, but your reputation precedes you, right? Usually your reputation precedes you. So you have a resume, there's all these wonderful things. If you're doing an MBBS, you graduated top of your class, all those are in your resume. but your reputation, your branding, people's perception of you, it usually precedes you. And like I explained earlier, you usually would have built this up long before you arrived at the point of submitting your resume. So all the posts, your responses to people. So very recently, there's been a trend for some politicians who are presently in power. And because the internet doesn't forget, they make a controversial post or something that contradicts their preceding reputation. And people just go screenshot it and put it under. It damages trust. It damages your value. It damages integrity. I don't know if anybody is here that has seen something like that happening. Probably Twitter, someone makes a post and someone is like, is that you? Or this you? Those things are important. It's important because of the opportunities. It's important because of the legacy. It's important because of the relationships that you build. So in 2023, we had the opportunity of meeting at the Dream Big conference, and we hadn't met with a whole lot of people apart from the Nigerian scholars, but we had built a relationship before then. We had developed, there was already a platform on which opportunities could be placed, opportunities for collaboration. So your branding is important because it forms your reputation, is the building phase. And it affects, or it has a higher impact than your resume. Usually, people would have found out a whole lot about you before they even get to view your skill set, which is your resume. So the opportunities it provides, the relationships it can bring you to, and your legacy, what is said of you, again, when you are not present, when you are not in the room, what is going to be said of you 20, 30 years forward. Next slide. All right then. So to help us go around and just give structure to what we'll be discussing, because we want to find how we can build this brand. How do you draw out that this is your brand? This is what you stand for. These are your values. This is what aligns with what you want to do. And I said, first off, you need clarity, consistency, and credibility. So I'm just going to be saying briefly on each of these. So clarity. What exactly is it that I want to achieve? What pathway do I want to draw? So early on here in school, I decided I wanted to consider clinical medicine, and the intersection between clinical medicine and public health, preventive medicine. I was very, very clear on what it achieved. I was very, very clear on what it was I wanted to achieve. And then the next step is consistency. So first of all, you map out what exactly it is that you want to achieve. I'm just to confirm that I'm still being heard. Sorry, just confirm.
Yes. Yes,
right.
Dr. Michael, I can hear you.
All right then. Okay then, thank you very much. So clarity, map out what exactly it is that you hope to achieve. And then when you do that, consistency, have a framework. I want to ensure that I want to become a public health physician with an interest in the impact of a public health physician. And I want to how do I achieve this? I consistently put in work, ensuring that my clinical skills are top notch. I ensure that I attend training seminars, I attend workshops, I attend opportunities that present me with an opportunity to hone my skills. What do I do? What do I do next? I also think that I want to have impact in public health. I ensure that I'm focusing on things that provide me a direction in this part. So I attend public health workshops. I am shadowing a public health physician. I'm trying to observe what is the intersection, what's improvements, and what is my role. So I volunteer in research. I'm a research volunteer. I volunteer on outreaches. I volunteer in going to places that are usually not the loveliest places to go to. That's consistency. And I've been doing it over a long period of time. There already is a foundation, there's a reputation. And then credibility. How much can people trust you? How true or how much can people believe when you say you're going to be delivering on this particular task? How much can people believe that that's what you're going to be doing? How credible are you? Right? So here also your skills, the skills you are building up come to play. When you are given a task to manage, how deliberate are you about managing that task? Right? Next slide, please. Next slide. All right, then. So the building blocks for this 3C framework is, first of all, your identity. Know your story, know your values. It's owning your identity, owning your story. So most times you go on the internet, you see young people, and there's a whole lot of fabrication. There's a craze to paint an image, to paint a story, because it seems like it fits the narrative. It seems like it fits the narrative. But the most important thing, if you're going to build a brand that is one of credibility and integrity, is that you know your story and you own it. I finished from a military school. It wasn't the best of opportunities, and I probably might not have had the best of experiences, but I've been able to build through that experience. I've been able to draw inspiration from my time there, even though I'm not. And then I have been able to convert that to my identity. It mightn't be the most glamorous, it mightn't be the most glorious, but it is your identity. Next slide. Next slide. The next is visibility. Be seen where it matters, right? Be seen where it matters. Campus, community, online. You want to build a brand that shows you have interest in clinical medicine and public health. You want to build a brand that shows you have interest in a particular sustainable development goal. You want to reach out to children on the streets. You want to reach out to abused women. You want to solve the problem on climate change. Be seen where it matters. You can't hope to be a professional or build credibility in that place and then be doing something that directly contradicts this statement, right? So visibility on campus, first of all, from your local area, right? Then your community, and then online. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so next, am I still being heard? Sorry, am I still being heard? Okay, sorry, just to confirm if I'm still being heard.
Yes, please.
All right, then. So your tribe, your network, your voice, your tribe shapes your brand. So there's this adage that says, show me your friends and I will tell you who you are. Or bad company corrupts good manners. Your network shapes your brand. You can't be hoping to build a brand of credibility. And every single gathering every single gathering where you're found doesn't show credibility. All the friends are people that do not align
All right, so let's excuse our speaker. Maybe it's our internet connection. Dr. Michael, are you still there? All right. Yeah, I can see. Yeah, it must be internet connection. So, guys, how are you now finding our session now? For making wrap up of what he has been saying, he mentioned the 3C brand framework for. Can you see me now? All right, all right. So let me try to fix my. Okay. So he mentioned something which is very important as we were waiting for him to join back. 3C branding blocks for branding ourselves. Like first of all, make your what you want to be seen in. Identify your identity. Yeah, like quality, consistency, and credibility. You can see that. So quality, first of all, just try to wrap up. What exactly are you interested in? What do you want people to perceive from you? Okay, that's quality. Identify it and make it clear. And also consistency. Here you will find yourselves the opportunity out there. There's a lot of opportunity regarding our interests, regarding what you want to become in the future, and try to make sure like you maximize it. Okay. So there is internet, there is special friends of ours who are in the shoes. Um, like everyone, I can see Mike is now joining back. Also, the last thing he mentioned is credibility. How do we make ourselves trusted? So thank you so much. You're welcome back, Dr. Mike.
All right, then. Thank you so much, everyone. At some point, I couldn't hear, and I had to disconnect and join in the meeting back. Okay, so I was trying to highlight the importance of visibility, and being seen where it matters. Now, this is not just like scalar visibility, right? So we know in physics there are scalar and vector quantities. Scalar quantities don't really have direction. They have mass. They are doing a whole lot of stuff, but there's no direction. Vector quantities have both mass, and then they have direction. They have a particular place where they are headed, they have a particular thing they are positioned towards. And that's directed visibility. And I think that if you're building a brand of credibility, you don't begin building local environment where you are. You should be known as an advocate for this particular brand you're hoping to build. And then you can build a community of people, and then you can transcend to building a community online so that there's evenness, there's oneness of purpose, both with what you're doing on ground and what you're doing online. Next slide. Okay, next slide, please. All right, then. So I already began speaking about this, and I talked about how your tribe, right? Your tribe, the group of people you're working with, people that are like-minded, people that hope to achieve the same dream and vision as you, they shape your brand, right? Then communication, clearly, your tone, your message across all platforms. What you are saying on Twitter, it integrates or it aligns with what you're saying on WhatsApp, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Your message is same and your voice is loud. So attached here is a picture of me speaking at one of our local meetings here at my school, right? I was sharing, and basically, so when I speak outside my school, I'm not saying something very different from what I have previously or what I've previously been doing, right? What I've previously been doing. Next slide, next slide. And just as we are leaving this slide, it's important to note that a lot of things that make up your voice is something I had previously highlighted. And I talked about owning your story, right? Your message, your identity. It has a very, very big impact on your voice. Now, presently, I can communicate or I can relate both with military personnel because there's a whole lot of integration that I'm looking at. But because of my unique background, the unique story that has brought me this far, I'm able to communicate not just with professionals in the healthcare sector, I'm able to communicate with people outside the healthcare sector, right? I have the unique opportunity of being able to communicate with military personnel. Because of my time in Nigerian military school, I was exposed to different ethnic groups and tribes because of the traveling that we had to do for some of the training. It has contributed to my message. I am able to say I can relate with these things going on. I can relate to them. I can relate to them. And because I have experienced or I can relate to them, this is what I'm communicating. This is the intervention. I am sure that this will help. I am sure that this will change your life. Or I am sure that this will help improve the quality of health you're receiving because I can relate. It's part of your story, right? Next slide, please. All right, then. So I'm going to be talking of briefly some mistakes I made. So hitherto, before now, I was I really, really wanted to be in a lot of things. I thought that one of the ways of building a brand, building a trusted brand, I wanted to ensure visibility across a lot of fronts. So I was saying yes to a lot of things. I was saying yes to outreaches, yes to programs whose back end I didn't. So programs that didn't entirely align with my personal vision, I was saying yes too quickly. It diluted my brand because again, I mentioned the importance of your tribe, what you align with, the places where you are seen. Right? I emphasized earlier the importance of your tribe, your community, the people you are seen with. So I said yes too quickly. Some of them, let me give a practical example. So if you've been a student, you know about student politics, right? Student politics happens a lot if you're on campus, and a lot of people do a lot of short-term things just for the purpose of an election. And because they knew I was credible, I could handle outreaches, I could organize impact seminars, they invited me. And just because I wanted visibility, I wanted to put myself out there, I said yes too quickly. Now, most of those became very controversial. And because I had appeared at those meetings or had aligned or had seemed to align with them, it diluted my brand. If those people were seen as non-credible leaders, it was also making me seem non-credible because I was part of, in quotes, their campaign process. So I'm highlighting here that one of the mistakes I made was saying yes too quickly. Another of them was hiding behind titles rather than letting my values show. So over the period of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? Throughout that period, I was trying to find a lot of certification. So it was important. I was using the opportunity to get certified in basic life support, advanced cardiac life support, building skills. But then I found out that eventually I got lost in trying to get a whole lot of certification, whole lot of things on my resume, but my values or the things that particularly aligned with what I wanted to achieve weren't showing. So if you check that year, you'd find that I had a lot of certifications, but they were spread everywhere. So if I'm uploading or updating my LinkedIn profile presently, there's a whole lot of things that's everywhere. There's trainings on cardiac support, there's trainings on managing deep venous thrombosis. I'm saying that my focus is the intersection of clinical medicine and public health care. At that point, I was trying to hide behind a lot of certification and titles rather than letting the values or the things that were actually important show, right? Things that were actually important show. But presently, improving of this, I have clarity filters. And again, this is just a re-emphasis on something I've mentioned before. What is it I hope to achieve? What is it I hope to become? Those filter the events, those filter the kind of things I engage in, those filter the posts I make, they filter my statements, they filter my comments, they filter my reactions. A clarity filter. The next is strategic positioning. You want to be at this place in the next 10, 15 years. How do you position yourself to learn? What are the places that you need to commit to? This is not about getting all certifications. It's about getting certificates that are strategic and positioning. The next is intentional communication. Intentional communication. Intentional communication. Oh, these are the things I should have communicated better. This is what I hope to achieve. So I'm just going to give a brief story here. I think that it's important to build relationships that are about people, relationships that are about what people can benefit and not just what you can get out of those relationships. And previously, I thought it was implied. But presently, I found that it's important to say, I hope to do this partnership with you, and this is my hope, that you are able to get to this place from where you are at presently, and that I'm also able to grow. Intentional communication, that it is clear what you hope to do from the beginning, right? What you hope to do from the beginning. Now, if you look at this particular slide, there's an attempt at deliberate learning and adaptation, continuous learning. I know that you don't start off personal branding perfect. You don't start off personal branding with everything figured out, right? No one starts out that way. But with continuous learning, continuous adaptation, you're able to grow. Now, a funny story, Robert Downey Jr., anybody here knows Robert Downey Jr.? That's Iron Man, and if you're interested in Marvel movies, Dr. Doom, right? Iron Man, Dr. Doom. Still being heard. I just wanted to quickly highlight a point. And basically, it's just on adaptation and continuous learning. Now, few people now know that early on, he had personal struggles. I think at some point he was almost convicted. I'm not very sure of this part, but presently he has turned this around through deliberate learning. He has turned it around. And anytime people remember him, you remember him as a resilient, talented actor. You remember him for his roles as Iron Man. It's very, very possible to build from a place of mistakes and position yourself. It's possible to build from a place of mistakes and adapt. So this is not to say that everyone has to start out their branding, everybody has to be perfect. But I'm saying with continuous deliberate attempts, deliberate learning, clarity, you're able to build from a place where you're not very great at what you're doing to a place where you've sorted it out. And it's very, very easy to build through this, paint a picture of resilience and credibility. And most of what has happened in the past, usually, in the face of what you have now built, is forgotten. Next slide. Next slide, please. So some tactical tools for personal branding, because you might be asking, how do I go from where I'm at to where I should be? I've talked about a couple, some of the C's that I mentioned, a couple of things you need to look at. But these are things you do continually. So we call it mid-review. So there's end evaluation and there's process evaluation. These are terminologies in public health that say at the end of a particular cycle, if you go through the whole planning cycle, at the end, there's an end evaluation, but in between you evaluate. So you reflect, what are the things I'm doing presently? How are they aligned with my end goal? If there are some things that do not align, can I reposition myself to be properly aligned with my end goal? Can I do something better? Can I work around something better, right? Can I do something better than how I'm doing it now? And then you repeat. So this isn't a one-time evaluation. I saw Gaston's review here, and in public health, there's that term. So it's called a planning cycle because it never ends. By the time you get to end evaluation, the cycle begins again. You evaluate, you improve, you reflect, reposition, and then you repeat the process. You repeat the process because this is a process of going from where you are now, where you are at presently, to building a brand that is credible, a brand that people can look up to. Next slide. So you could do a brand audit checklist, and this draws us back to our initial definition. What do people say about you when you are not in the room? What teams run through your work? What teams run through the words you say, right? What are you saying? Are the things you are doing and the things you are saying, are they aligned? Do they align with the end point you hope to achieve? Is your online presence congruent, right? Is it similar? Does it align with your real life presence? So very for this story. I think that it happens a whole lot here in med school. And you know how that you go for ward rounds and very senior consultants, they just lash out at you. They lash out at you. And someone jocularly said, do they know that this person they are lashing out here, who's a medical student, do they know who the person is outside this place? So the whole alignment between who you are outside and who you are in your real life presence. So are you the same person people meet online, and will they have that same experience? Would they have that same aura hit them? So people can go through your posts online and see, oh, wow, this guy is a great guy, he's doing a whole lot of things. Would they say the same thing if they met you in real life, in real time, right? So those are some brand audit tools you can check. It's not an exhaustive list, but these are a helpful starter. Next slide. Next slide. You could do reflection, and I'd already talked about this, right? Reflection, reposition, right? Repositioning, and then based on your goals, If, for example, I just put a pointer here. So through your talks, your posts, mentoring, these are the things you could do. Say you are interested in global public health or global health, you are interested in some of these sustainable development goals. You could ensure that this is communicated clearly. So this for your online presence, presently, your talks, your posts, your mentoring, the statements you make, the people who are coming behind. Now, usually it is said that you haven't really accomplished a particular thing in a field until you've been able to build up a couple of people behind you in that same dream, in that same direction. So I'm impassioned by public health. I'm impassioned by caring for people who aren't receiving the best of care. I wouldn't have achieved a place of complete credibility until I have been able to communicate to people behind me, junior colleagues, people 200 level, 300 level, who have similar goals, similar thoughts, until I've been able to also bring them to a place of growth. Because this is also a testament of your personal growth, of your personal development. How much do you understand? How much do you understand of what you want to become? It shows in how much you're able to communicate of this. Next slide. And next slide, we're almost rounding off. So this just for a few closing comments. I talked about what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about clinical medicine. The second frame, you'll see a picture of me in the procedure, assisting the procedure. This was just after my third professional exams. There's a picture of me at a primary school, and some of my classmates. We shared. We were able to follow some of these pupils up through their period in primary school. A couple of them even had hopes of becoming medical personnel. The third frame is a picture of me at the Dream Big conference, the third and fourth. The fourth was a visit at the orphanage in Kenya. If you look closely, you'd see Femi. I think Femi is in this picture. I'm not sure if Isaac is in it, but Femi is in this picture. and a couple of other of my friends, a couple of friends. So impact reinforces identity. That's one of the statements I wanted to make. The impact you make reinforces your identity. The people you are able to reach out in the course of these goals you've set to achieve, this person you hope to become, it reinforces your identity. It reminds you in the decisions that you are making that this is who you are, this is what you stand for. You are not impassioned by financial gain alone. What drives you is not money, what drives you is impact. It reinforces your identity. It reminds you of who you are, where questions are asked. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. Sorry, am I still being heard? All right then. So there's this whole thing, just as a round off. I don't know, has anybody here ever Googled himself? Like gone on Google, typed his name, type your name and see what showed up, right? If you typed your name on Google and saw what showed up. The question here is that if your name were a message, what would it be? If someone thought of Ekoha Michael, what are the associated thoughts that come around that name? What are the emotions that the name evokes in the person? What would people say about you if they heard your name? If they just heard Michael, if they heard Ekoha from Nigeria, what would be their responding statements afterward? This will give you a pointer of the brand you are building. It will give you a pointer to how people perceive you. I think that this is my final slide. So just to summarize, it's important in building a personal brand. It's important that first of all, after you have clarity, you have a vision, you have purpose, you become intentional about it. You become consistent. So people usually say that the person, water isn't the sharpest element, right? But water usually breaks through rock because it drips. It might drip for 10 years, 20, 30, but eventually it breaks through rock. It breaks through the hardest granite rock. It can break through it. So be intentional about what you want to become, about what your brand should show. Be consistent in achieving that goal and be impactful. Is most important to remember that as great as the things you want to do are, if they have no impact, if they are not the felt needs of people around you, the brand, if your brand doesn't portray support, if it doesn't portray an advantage to the people you hope to reach out to, you might as well not have been doing anything at all, right? So be impactful, that people's lives actually change when they encounter your brand. I hope with this little that I've been able to share, we've been able to get short picture on personal branding. Thank you so much for the opportunity. If there are any questions, I'm open to respond. Thank you again.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Michael. As we are jumping to our long-awaited question and answers section, I would like, to really, give a simple comment on what you said. Basically, can you hear me very well? Let me be sure. Can everybody be able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right. Thank you so much. I was just wanted to comment much more on the important section you mentioned, mistakes that we usually make. Yeah, like we usually tend to say yes for everything that is coming in our way, and we tend to dilute our personal brand. And this really comes up with a lot of things like that time we haven't yet identified what we really want. Yet the personal branding really comes a lot with first identify what do you really want. So yeah, I think that is the most mistakes that we usually make, which highlights how important is that 3C framework you mentioned, which is clarity. First of all, let's identify what exactly do we want in terms of areas of expertise. What do we want people to think of us? Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, for such amazing sharing. I can see in a comment section we had a question. Our comment, Eddie just mentioned, thank you so much, Dr. Michael. I liked the way you consistently insisted on clearly creating homogeneous brands of ourselves, periodic reflection on personal goals, and focusing more on the impact than any other things. Thank you so much. That was from Eddie. Eddie, thank you so much. Yeah, now we are in the time for comment and questions. Any question to Dr. Mike? And how did you get to learn from this webinar? And this is your time now. All right. Yeah, I can see success. Raise the hand, please.
Thank you so much, Gaston. Thank you, Dr.
You're
Michael.
welcome.
I have known Dr. Michael like since 2019. And if I would say something about your personal brand, one thing I would say is the few times you've communicated, I've experienced this genuinity from you. So I don't know if that's something you would also add, if you've not added that. You're a very genuine person, and I can get that from speaking to you alone. But I have a question, and I see this happen. I'm not so sure why, but when we are humans and we all go through things that could be very challenging, and I see people like go offline, because now in our days, this personal brand we're talking about, most people perceive it online. So we are able to share who we are online. That's what people are doing now. That's the in thing. So I see like specific people go offline for like months and then come back. Could this be as a result of maybe they go through something and they're worried it would disrupt the brand they've been trying to create over the years, and because they don't want to be perceived in another way, then they go off, because that's really what people do. I do it myself, and somehow I feel at a point, could it be that I'm not authentic? Because if you're authentic, then you should be able to carry your community all the way, so they know you are human. So people don't get afraid of being humans. Please just help me out. Is this something that should be encouraged? Like when you feel you're not able to promote yourself the way you've been doing, and really you don't have the strength to do so, then you just stop promoting yourself and, keep everything calm until you're back on track again.
Okay, thank you very much, Success, for shining recommendations and the question. So I think that, well, generally there's this whole definition about when a particular thing becomes lower in demand, its need or its price becomes even more expensive. And I said that to say that we're in a time frame or in a generation where people prefer to be picture perfect, They want to portray an image that everything is sorted out, everything is working fine. They perceive being honest and vulnerable as being weak. And that is not the case. In my experience, I found that people gravitate towards genuineness, towards honesty, towards communicating the struggles you've passed through. So, for example, I could have shared stories of how great I was, but there's honesty in sharing the process of becoming. There's honesty in becoming. There's honesty in showing that you didn't just arrive here the day you began. You arrived, there were trying moments, there were uneasy times, but you pulled through. So it's always been my counsel, it's always been my advice that if you're communicating a brand, now again, it depends on what the clarity of purpose you hope to show. If you're communicating a brand that shows honesty, that shows genuineness, that shows the willingness to partner, that shows understanding of the struggles of the people, for example, that you will be reaching out to, your journey or your work will be important, even the parts that are not so great. You mightn't be out there continually if, say, for example, you need to take time off, but that in between parts where you are working through things is not going to be hidden for the public. It's going to be shared. They would hear from it. And most often than not, you will draw learning experiences from those moments to share. And so in branding, personal branding, it is my opinion that your struggles, the uneasy parts are important. They are actually an important part of your story, your identity, and therefore your brand. Therefore your brand. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Mike. I can see another question from our box chat. It's from Eddie, who was asking, my question to Michael will be suggesting me on how to deal with negative feedbacks and online criticism that might impact personal brands. Yeah, such amazing question. Over to you, Dr. Michael.
Okay, I apologize that this might be okay. I might not be able to communicate shortly after now. I just sent a message, but thank you so much. That was a very, very important question, and more than ever, it is important in these times where your online presence serves a large percentage of your brand, your personal brand, what people are able to see about you. I think that every time a question, every time criticism, or whether it's constructive or not, comes, before your response, it is important to revisit your purpose, your goals. Now, this will guide you in your responses because I think that each and every time a question is asked online, sometimes confrontational, most often than not, they are testing the authenticity of what you've been communicating beforehand. They are testing the authenticity of your previous statements. Say your brand has been on honesty, has been on communication, your brand has been on pushing out or being very positive to people, for example, and someone comes in with a negative comment in the sections, somebody comes in with something very contradictory or confrontational, it actually is a test on what you have previously been saying. I think I can summarize whatever the person is saying as a question. Are you really true to your brand? Do you really mean what you've been saying? So again, revisiting your initial goals and purposes always provides a good context. It always gives a good pivot for your responses in those scenarios. Oh, this is what I stand for. And because this is what I stand for, even my responses at this particular time, though they may be inflammatory and sometimes they may be very, very personal and hurtful, following through that structural process of considering the purpose, your vision, and your brand before your responses always provides an opportunity to not answer in the wrong or to not, destroy whatever brand you've been building over time. Thank you. I hope I attempted to answer the question.
All right. Yes. Thank you so much. Eddie commented, thank you so much for your response, doctor. And if no any other question, we can just call it a day. And again, thanking so much to Dr. Michael for sparing your time. I know your schedule is really busy, as I can imagine, but you really made it to be with us today. We thank you so much. We learned a lot from you. Yeah, starting from myself, there's some mistakes that we could do in the past. And sometimes unknowingly right now we can also do them. But for your guidance, I hope to make a difference in the future and as for everyone. So thank you so much once again. We hope to have you in the future if time permits. Yeah. Thank you so much.